What am I picking? What is that? Calories? I don't even know what's going on. Ugh, I'm done. Nutrition labels. That's the topic today. I mean, haven't you seen this before? Have no fear, Shakespeare. I mean, nutrition facts. As you can see, these two are two different nutrition labels, one from our childhood and one that just got updated in 2015. As you can see an expanded 230 on calories, but don't worry. I know this might be scary, but no fear, Shakespeare. I'm here to break it down to you as I'm a nutritionist to talk to you about the nutrition label.
Yellow cake.
It's a good thing her mom's modern. I'm Betty Crocker. With my yellow cake mix, all you do is add water and a couple of fresh eggs. The other ingredients are in the package. Same fine things you'd use right in your own home. You'll get a perfect cake just like this, or write General Mills, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they'll send your money back. A high cake, a light cake, a better tasting cake.
And don't think it isn't. That's why Betty Crocker herself says,
I guarantee a perfect cake every time you bake. Cake after cake after cake.
This advert that I just presented, many food companies marketed the foods to be the most enticing, what you must eat, devouring, yummy food ever. And doesn't that remind you of something? AKA the Super Bowl ads that make you want to eat so much pizza? Well, don't fret, because I'm in the same boat as well. But one thing is for sure is that not until 1973, many marketers made a bunch of money by putting various claims on their foods and having various delicious, insightful things about how yummy it is, making many of us want to eat and buy their product. But in 1973, much more scientific evidence of the relationship between diet and chronic disease had expanded. And notice that there was an increased consumer interest in nutrition, and because of that, we started to see the rise of Kellogg's all-brand cereals that promoted saying that it's cholesterol-free and 33% less fat. Once enacted, the 1990 Nutrition Labeling Education Act made us know of exactly what is going on with our food and address the concerns that consumers had. Prior, labeling used to be a voluntary action that marketers would do so that consumers would be like, oh, they're nutritious, let me take them, even though they were not the most nutritious choice, because they wanted people to engage with them. All that drastic claims caused Congress to react quickly and created in 1990 the Nutrition Labeling and Education Act, mandating that nutrition labels educate about nutrition and health, and only specified health claims once founded on well-established scientific evidence.
Pineapple, which is yellow like lemon, may surprise you if you're all set to taste pineapple and get lemon. 5-flavor lifesavers are called the candy with the holes. I like to look through them. They're especially good if you have only 5 cents. People should buy 5-flavor lifesavers.
Besides that legislation in the 1990s, most of Congress have always been pushing to fortify our foods. That's why if you look into our milks, we have more enrichment of vitamin D, and our flours have more vitamin B. It's all to directly target our nutrition deficiencies. Another big major issue is about GMO labeling, about how the management of human touching of normal natural plant affect our diet, and how we as consumers would like that to be labeled. Congress is currently have been looking to find solutions, and they finally ultimately found a solution that caters to
is now
all
voluntary for most
marketers
modified
right now.
foods. The food industry claims 75 to 80% of all packaged foods contain genetically modified ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch, and soybean oil.
Now remember when in the beginning I presented this to you? Now look at the legislation for it.
Find a label that is easier to read and one that consumers can understand.
Too often, it's nearly impossible to get the most basic facts about the food we buy for our families. As consumers and as parents, we have a right to understand what's in the food we're feeding our families.
2016, the Let's Move campaign, spearheaded by former First Lady Michelle Obama, spearheaded the campaign of changing the nutrition label to be more tailored to the average American and what they eat. Due to problems with labeling, due to the overconsumption of food, which plagues our day-to-day now, deficiency is no longer what needs to be looked at, but rather how much the calories we are taking in.
As you've heard today, for the first time since the nutrition label was developed 2 decades ago, we're overhauling these labels to make them easier to read.
Alrighty, now to the drawing board. We have the nutrition facts. Right on top, it says about 22 servings per container. The serving size is 1 cup, or equally 37 grams. As you can see, for a standard human, it is about 140 calories, and with 1/2 cup of skim milk is 180 calories. As you can see above, we have the average serving size of 1 cup. And this is roughly the amount that any person who would be eating this cereal would probably having, and this is relative to the amount of this 1 cup. As you can see, calorie is the unit of energy being consumed. I love to call it like energy points, because everything that you consume, whether it's fat, whether it's protein, whether it's cholesterol or sodium, all of these go into your body as energy and fuel you throughout the day. As you can see, as we start, we have a total fat of 2 grams. And this also incorporates saturated fat, trans fat, polyunsaturated fat, and mono fat. As you can see here, we have polyunsaturated fat of 0.5 grams, monounsaturated fat of 0.5 grams. When you see this breakdown, before it wasn't like this. Before, fat used to be villainized. However, scientists have acknowledged that there are good fats. Fat plays a huge role in our energy, as it contributes to up to 9 calories to 1 gram. That means 1 gram of fat ultimately has 9 energy points in it, which goes into our body. Scientists have seen that polyunsaturated fat and monounsaturated fat helps with defending us against health diseases as well as stroke. The next thing that we are seeing is our cholesterol levels. We have 0 milligrams. Cholesterol is already waxy substance that is already found in our body, and scientists and the FDA recommend us to get no more than 200 milligrams because our liver on its own independently produces 800 milligrams for every 200 milligrams inserted in our dietary lifestyle. The reason why most people do not put cholesterol or trans fat, there's a huge correlation, is because the more cholesterol that you insert into your body, it can lead to the blockage of your arteries. Trans fat in 2015 got completely eliminated by the FDA because it was seen to not be a good substantial contribution to our overall heart or any lifestyle. Next, we have our sodium levels, which has it 210 milligrams. Scientists recommend, or the FDA recommends, that we get no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium on a 2,000 caloric diet. The next that we see is total carbohydrates, which is 30 grams. As you can see right here, fiber is a carb that our body can't digest, which is quite beneficial. So what I mean by that is fiber is actually one of the resistant starches in which it goes into our body and technically our stomach doesn't break it down. Thus, it just passes right by. Many fibers are dark greens, and various greens have the potential of giving us dietary fiber. We also have soluble fiber in the condition of xylem. Another thing that is a carb is, of course, sugar. Sugar is a carbohydrate. And the added sugar refers to all sugars that are being added. What does that mean? Added sugars, which is the biggest fear of most people, actually means that whatever is past the natural occurrence inside the substance or food that you're having is added sugar. That means cane sugar, honey, molasses, high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch are all added things that could be added, or lactose. Anything that is added by the manufacturer is included in the added sugar. So one thing that you could do to justify a normal occurring, naturally occurring sugar that's, let's say, in our fruits or our 100% fruit juices would be in our total sugar. And then you subtract that by the added sugar. When you see that both of them are equal, that means that there's a higher percentage of added sugar compared to the natural occurring sugar. The next thing that we have is protein. Protein constitutes a very essential role to our muscle development and muscle synthesis, or muscle growth, if I should say. In order for us to be strong in the gym, eating more protein and having a protein-rich diet is helpful for even vitality, as many research is showing us today. If you can take a look here, besides vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium, most of the other vitamins that you'll see as I point to you can be added to add to the credibility of the marketer. However, you have to take your ultimate discretion. As you look at all of these, the standard that is needed in all food labels is vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. But as you can see down below, you see vitamin A, vitamin C, and all these B vitamins. All these things are added because the marketer would like you to have much more of an understanding of what you're consuming. However, it's only required for them to put these main ingredients or the main occurring vitamins that are affecting this particular food meal. As you go down below, you will see what the daily value means. And again, like one big misconception is that most people assume that the percentages indicate the amount that is in the food box or in the cup serving. But actually, this means that this amount of fat constitutes 3% of your overall 2,000 caloric intake, the standard caloric intake. This does not constitute of, let's say, your caloric deficits that you may have with your dietitian or with a physical trainer. It just means that 3% of your total fat is being contributed to your overall 2,000 calories. So you have the ultimate discretion to realize, okay, so if it says 3% and I'm on a 1,750 caloric deficit, to adjust your own numbers and see how 2 grams may affect your overall amount. As you could see down below, I may not go down to the nitty-gritty of the ingredients, but these are 3 main things that you need to know about all your ingredients at the bottom. Is that ingredients are the key to knowing the kinds of sugars that you may have. Anything that ends with ose is a sugar. So you hear maltose, lactose, all of these are sugars. Also, ingredients are helpful to know what makes up most of the ingredients. And a big thing that you'll always see is contains an allergy. And then you will see probably something like potassium dyes something, and that's usually element and something else. These can often be found to preserve the meal or make sure that there's a good flavor in the meal, or all these constitute food additives. And before it frightens you that it will get you hooked, it can literally mean just making sure that it enhances the product. And as you can see in this box, it starts with the first 1, 2, 3 that makes up the most of the food containment. These first 3 contain majority of the food, and then so on and so forth. As you can see, tripotassium phosphate is, like I said, element and something else. And these could be, like this marketer has given to us, added to preserve freshness. And as you can see, contains will always show you the ingredients that may have tampered with the ingredient. And as you can see, the distribution, you can know and decipher whether this person's indication or mark, like let's say Coca-Cola or General Mills, may influence the kind of food that you may have. We also have the contains bioengineered food ingredients instead of non-GMO or GMO because of many initiatives, and you will always see if it's gluten-free. And that's basically all from the drawing board, and hopefully you'll look out at this in the market. But before we do that, let's go onto the market and see what's up. Think of it like this: nutrition labeling is like a lawyer being presented with the case and the judge making the final verdict. As you're here going to your favorite local grocery store, picking out foods, nutrition labeling gives you all the facts presented of your favorite snacks, and you get to make the final decision as to whether or not it's nutritious for you and goes in line with your calories. And alright, as we go into the store, one big nutritionist tip is you must go into the outer corners of each grocery store because that is where the least processed foods are. As you see here, we have arugula, and arugula technically doesn't even need a nutrition label, but as you can see, there's 21 calories in it, and the ingredients is only arugula. Most of these products don't actually need a nutrition label because of the fact that it's wholly itself. However, marketers still can have that option too. However, they are still regulated by the French Agricultural Institution, which is in charge of making sure that each produce is being produced correctly. And as you can see here, you can see exactly where it has been produced. Another thing that is not regulated is alcohol. Alcohol is already regulated by the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Association. Thus, all it needs is a government warning to combat alcohol misusage. One thing I adore, and I know you do too, is bread. As you go ahead and look at these breads, you can see stamps of USDA organic, non-GMO verified, thin slice 70 calories. All amazing things. However, we must remember our investigation skills. As you can see here, 70 calories accounts for one slice. As you can see here, you would see your total fat intake, saturated fat, trans fat, and down here below your ingredients. You can see organic whole wheat being the top one. As you can see, deli foods are not inevitably needed to be put in a nutrition label. What you can put is the calorie count on them, and you can analyze them if requested or seen online at some websites. However, foods already being made don't have to show nutrition labels, but many companies are now looking to give nutrition fact labels to consumers online because of some of us who are very nutrition con- conscious. As you can see, my investigative journaling is complete. I think that walking around like a matrix in a grocery store does look a bit weird, but make a conscious effort to look at what you are eating and make a conscious decision as to what pertains to your nutrition or not. And I hope this video was insightful as it was for my brain, and hopefully you can make a conscious decision. If you don't feel like you can make the conscious decision, feel free to always look up your own foods before going to the store or looking at your local registered dietitian or nutritionist for advice as to how to properly fit any of your favorite snacks into your diet or what fits your fitness goals and the caloric limits that you may have. So I guess that's it for my video and me looking like the Matrix in my favorite grocery store, and I'm gonna go back to shopping. So back to you. Yeah, live Venus or in the lab Venus or whatever. You know, this is getting ridiculous. I think I'm done. All right. Yeah, I think I'm done. Let me go back to being a regular customer for once. Okay. It's that way? Oh, okay.
Loved good food. And those piping hot muffins Aunt Sarah served really made the meal.